Forget your garden variety vampires and your pleasant three-headed dogs. Those are campfire stories for beginners. The truth is, the world's ancient cultures concocted horrors so specific, so deeply disturbing, they linger in the folklore like a genetic memory of fear. These aren't just monsters. They're the physical embodiment of ancient anxieties, cultural taboos, and the raw, untamed forces of nature. We are diving deep into the terrifying corners of global mythology, where the creatures are less fantasy and more flesh-peeling reality. Strap in, keep the salt and iron close, and let's explore the truly gruesome. 1. The Nuckelavee, the Flayed Horseman of Orkney, Scotland. Imagine you are standing on the northernmost islands of Scotland, the Orkneys, on a cold, dark night. The air smells of salt and peat, and the only sound is the rhythmic crash of the North Sea waves. Suddenly, you hear a sound, not a howl, but a wet, heavy, scraping slap coming from the shore. This is the sound of the Nuckelavee, and if you see it, it is already too late. The Nuckelavee is the ultimate maritime terror. Described in excruciating detail by those who claim to have survived an encounter, it's an absolute anatomical horror. Imagine a horse and rider fused together, but with one critical difference. It has no skin. Its entire body, the rider's torso and the horse's lower body, is exposed, raw muscle, sinew, and pulsating black blood running through yellow veins. It has a massive single eye that burns with a red flame. The rider's head lolls back, connected to the horse's spine by a single gruesome tendon, and its enormous arms hang down, dragging on the ground. This fiend is believed to be the devil of the sea. It despises fresh water, which is the only thing that can repel it, and it despises humanity even more. When the Nuckelavee walks the land, it brings blight and pestilence. Crops wither, livestock drop dead, and the islands are ravaged by disease. But what made the myth so terrifying was the reason behind its rage. It was the Orkneys' direct, physical manifestation of the violent, unpredictable nature of the sea and the terrible consequences of a bad fishing season. The only saving grace? As a creature of the ocean, it cannot cross running water, even a small brook. That's your one desperate chance to escape this flayed abomination. 2. The Manananggal, the split-body predator, the Philippines. From the cold shores of Scotland, we travel to the humid, dense jungles of the Philippines, where the folklore shifts from natural disaster to domestic, personal horror. This is the realm of the Manananggal, and it preys on vulnerability and trust. By day, the Manananggal is said to look like an ordinary, attractive woman. Maybe a neighbor, maybe someone you trust. But when the moon rises and hunger takes over, her transformation is one of the most grotesque in mythology. She retreats to a dark, isolated place. A sickening, wet tearing sound is heard as she uses razor-sharp claws to cleave her body completely in two at the waist. Her lower half, the legs and pelvis, remains planted, rooted to the ground and surprisingly vulnerable. The top half then sprouts massive, bat-like wings and flies off into the night sky. Its internal organs, the heart, lungs, and intestines, dangling from the severed torso. She hunts for sleeping victims, particularly pregnant women, using a long, needle-thin tongue to suck the heart of an unborn child. The sheer audacity of the terror is why this myth is so potent. The lower body is a timer. The floating torso is the immediate threat. How do you defeat a creature that can leave half its body at home? The secret lies in that stationary lower half. If you find the discarded legs and sprinkle salt, crushed garlic, or smear ash on exposed flesh, the torso will be unable to reattach before sunrise. The sunlight burns the upper half to death, leaving only a pile of ash and a warning to others. A true example of how domestic objects become life-saving talismans. 3. The Adze, the Mosquito spirit of the U people West African. We moved to West African folklore, specifically the U people of Ghana and Togo, where the ancient fear is not a roaring beast, but something far more insidious and personal. The Adze. The Adze is a folkloric embodiment of pestilence and fever, particularly the devastating reality of malaria. But unlike a simple virus, this creature has a consciousness. It usually appears as a harmless, luminescent firefly, attempting light in the dark. But if someone attempts to capture it, the Adze transforms into its true form, a blood-sucking spirit that turns into a mosquito. The Adze's power is not just in its bite, but in its ability to possess people. Once a spirit, the Adze seeks out a host and begins to drain their life force. The creature often targets children, causing illness and inexplicable death. Even worse, if you confess to being secretly possessed by an Adze, often under duress or as a hallucination from a severe fever, you become one of its servants, cursed to go out at night and suck the blood of others in the form of firefly or mosquito. The myth of the Adze serves as a cautionary tale. Never hunt or tamper with fireflies, and always be wary of unexplained sickness. The greatest terror here is the enemy you cannot see, the one that exists in the air, the fever, and the suspicion among neighbors. It's a chilling reminder of the helplessness ancient peoples felt against invisible disease. For the Rusalka, the vengeful water nymph, Slavic folklore. Our journey takes us north to the slow-moving rivers and dark forests of Slavic mythology, encompassing Russia, Ukraine, and Poland. Here, the beauty of nature is often a deadly mask, worn by the Rusalka. The Rusalka is the spirit of a woman who met her end in the water, usually by drowning or sometimes by suicide or murder, often tied to a tragic betrayal. They are beautiful, ethereal figures, sometimes depicted with long, bright green hair made of algae and flowers. They emerge from the water during the early summer, a time known as Rusalka Week. Their method is seductive and deadly. A Rusalka will sit on the riverbank, brush her long hair, and sing an impossibly beautiful, hypnotic song to lure young men to the water's edge. Once lured, the men are dragged into the depths, tickled to death, or drowned and enslaved to her watery court. They are not merely ghosts. They are vengeful, playful entities whose immense sorrow has turned into bitter malice. The deeper terror of the Rusalka lies in her emotionality. She represents the danger of unchecked female rage and the tragedy of a life cut short, turning natural beauty into a site of profound danger. The only way to deter Rusalka is with an ancient fear. Iron, carrying a piece of iron, or even wearing a cross, can keep them at bay. If you stumble upon one, the only choice is to run and pray you make out of the water's reach before their hypnotic song takes hold. 5. The Cipactli, the Earth Eater, Aztec mythology. Finally, we travel to the heart of ancient Mesoamerica, to the Aztec creation myths, where we encounter a horror not born in individual death or natural fear, but the very fabric of reality itself. The Cipactli, before the world as the Aztecs knew it, there was only primordial water. In that endless sea swam one creature, the Cipactli. It was an enormous, hideous sea monster, part crocodile, part toad, and part fish, but its defining feature was its insatiable, unholy hunger. The Cipactli was said to have a ravenous mouth at every single one of its joints. Every limb, every bend in its body was a separate, constantly chewing maw. It was a terrifying, all-consuming entity that existed only to devour. To create the world, the twin creator gods, Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca, knew they had to deal with the Cipactli. In a struggle of epic proportions, they used their divine power to drag the beast from the water. Tezcatlipoca even used his own foot as bait, which the Cipactli instantly bit off. The gods didn't kill it. They stretched and twisted its colossal body. They pinned it down and broke it apart. The Cipactli's body was used to form the entire earth. From its scaly, monstrous skin, they created the land. From its hair, the trees. From its eyes, the pools and springs. Every natural feature of the world is a piece of this horrifying beast. The most terrifying part? The Cipactli is still alive. The earthquakes we feel, the volcanic eruptions, the sinkholes, these are merely the creature's constant, hungry spasms, still trying to devour the world that was born from its own forced sacrifice. The world itself is a monster's flesh, and it hungers. These ancient terrors, from the Flayed Nuckelavee bringing famine to the Orkneys, to the split-bodied Manananggal preying on the most vulnerable, and the cosmic hunger of the Cipactli, they all offer a dark education. They teach us what our ancestors truly feared. Not dragons and heroes, but disease, betrayal, nature's violence, and the raw, untamed forces that can rip the familiar world apart. I'm HORRIFYING, and the world's myths are far stranger and scarier than we give them credit for. If you enjoyed this dive into the truly gruesome corners of folklore, hit that subscribe button to keep exploring the history and myths the rest of the world forgot.